I'm Jeremy day287 of reading. Today reading Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. Let's get started. Please give this video more views. Please, please, please. We're on page 440. At the end of the article that the woman Rita Skeeter wrote, Harry finished reading and looked up at Ron, whose mouth was hanging open. "How did she find out?" he whispered. But that wasn't what was bothering Hagrid. Harry, "What do you mean? We all hate Hagrid?" Harry spat at Malfoy. "What's this rubbish about him?" He pointed at Crabbe. "Getting a bad bite off of Flobberworm? They haven't even got teeth." Crabbe was sniggering, apparently very pleased with himself. "Well, I think this should put an end to the oaths teaching career," said Malfoy, his eyes glinting. "Hat giant. And there was me thinking he just swallowed a bottle of Skele-Gro when he was young. None of the mummies and daddies are going to like this at all. They'll be worried he'll eat their kids. Ha ha. Are you paying attention over there?" Professor Grubbly Plank's voice carried over to the boys. The girls were all clustered around the unicorn now, stroking it. Harry was so angry that the Daily Prophet article shook in his hands as he turned to stare unseeingly at the unicorn, whose many magical properties Professor Grubbly Plank was now enumerating in a loud voice, so that the boys could hear too. "I hope she stays, that woman," said Parvati Patil, when the lesson had ended and they were all heading back toward the castle for lunch. "That's more than what I thought care of magical creatures would be like. Proper creatures like unicorns, not monsters." "What about Hagrid?" Harry said angrily as they went up the steps. "What about him?" said Parvati in a hard voice. "He can still be gatekeeper, can't he?" Parvati had been very cool toward Harry since the ball. He supposed he ought to have paid her a bit more attention, but she seemed to have a good time all the same. She was certainly telling anybody who would listen that she had made arrangements to meet the boy from the Books Bandits in Hogsmeade on the next weekend trip. "That was a really good lesson," said Hermione as they entered the Great Hall. "I didn't know half the things Professor Grubbly Plank told us about unit." "Look at this," Harry snarled as he shoved the Daily Prophet article under Hermione's nose. Hermione's mouth fell open as she read. Her reaction was exactly the same as Ron's. "How did that horrible Skeeter woman find out? You don't think Hagrid told her?" "No," said Harry, leading the way over to Gryffindor's table and throwing himself into a chair. "Furious. He never even told us, did he? I reckon she was so mad he wouldn't give her loads of horrible stuff about me. She went ferreting around to get him back." "Maybe she heard him telling Madame Maxime at the ball," said Hermione quietly. "We'd have seen her in the garden," said Ron. "Anyway, she's not supposed to come into school anymore. Hagrid said Dumbledore banned her." "Maybe she's got an invisibility cloak," said Harry, ladling chicken casserole onto his plate and splashing it everywhere in his anger. "Sort of thing she'd do, isn't it? Hide in the bushes, listening to people." "Like you and Ron did, you mean?" said Hermione. "We weren't trying to hear him," said Ron indignantly. "We didn't have any choice. The stupid prat, talking about his giantess mother where anyone could have heard him." "We've got to go and see him," said Harry. "This evening, after divination. Tell him we want him back." "You do want him back?" he shot at Hermione. I'm not going to pretend it didn't make a nice change having a proper care of magical creatures lesson for once, but I do want Hagrid back. Of course I do," Hermione added hastily, quailing under Harry's furious stare. So that evening after dinner, the three of them left the castle once more and went down to the frozen grounds to Hagrid's cabin. They knocked, and Fang's booming barks answered. "Hagrid, it's us!" Harry shouted, pounding on the door. "Open up!" Hagrid didn't answer, but they could hear Fang scratching at the door, whining. But it didn't open. They hammered on it for 10 more minutes. Ron even went and banged on one of its windows, but there was no response. "What is he avoiding us for?" Hermione said when they had finally given up and were walking back to the school. He surely doesn't think we'd care about him being half giant. But it seemed that Hagrid did care. They didn't see any sign of him all week. He didn't appear at the staff table at mealtimes. They didn't see him going about his gamekeeper duties in the grounds, and Professor Grubbly Plank continued to take the care of magical creatures classes. Malfoy was gloating at every possible opportunity. Missing your half-breed pail? He kept whispering to Harry whenever there was a teacher around, so that he was safe from Harry's retaliation. Missing the Elephant Man? There was a Hogsmeade visit halfway through January. Hermione was very surprised that Harry was going to go. I just thought you'd want to take advantage of the common room being quiet, she said. Really get to work on that egg. Oh, I reckon I've got a pretty good idea of what it's about now, Harry lied. Have you really? Said Hermione, looking impressed. Well done. Harry's inside gave a guilty scorn, but he ignored them. He still had 5 weeks to work out that egg clue. After all, there was ages. Whereas if he went into Hogsmeade, he might run into Hagrid and get a chance to persuade him to come back. He, Ron, and Hermione left the castle together on Saturday and set off through the cold, wet grounds toward the gates. As they passed a Durmstrang ship moored in the lake, they saw Victor Crumb emerge onto the deck, dressed in nothing but swimming trunks. He was very skinny indeed, but apparently a lot tougher than he looks, because he's climbed up onto the side of the ship and stretched out his arms and dived right into the lake. He's mad, said Harry, staring at Crumb's dark head as it bobbed out into the middle of the lake. It must be freezing. It's January. It's a lot colder where he comes from, said Hermione. I suppose it feels quite warm to him. Yeah, but there's still a giant squid, said Ron. He didn't sound anxious. If anything, he sounded hopeful. Hermione noticed his tone of voice and frowned. He's really nice, you know, she said. He's not at all like you'd think, coming from Durmstrang. He likes it much better here, he told me. Ron said nothing, but he hadn't mentioned Victor Crumb since the ball, which Harry had found a miniature arm under his bed on Boxing Day, which had looked very much as though it had been snapped off a small model figure wearing Bulgarian Quidditch robes. Harry kept his eyes skinned for a sign of Hagrid all the way down the slushy high street, and suggested a visit to the Three Broomsticks when he had ascertained that Hagrid was not in any of the shops. The pub was as crowded as ever, but one quick look around at all the tables told Harry that Hagrid wasn't there. Heart-seeking, he went up to the bar with Ron and Hermione, ordered 3 butterbeers from Madame Rosmerta, and thought gloomily that he might as well just stayed behind and listen to the egg wailing after all. Doesn't he ever go into the office? Hermione whispered. Suddenly, look! She pointed into the mirror behind the bar, and Harry saw Ludo Bagman reflected there, sitting in a shadowy corner with a bunch of goblins. Bagman was talking very fast in a low voice to them. Thank you, everyone. That's all for today. Bye. See you tomorrow. I can't read anymore. Tomorrow we're going to read page 445. The start of 445. Peace out.